Daane did have a very close relationship with him in terms of friendship. And as soon as Mo is up and running here, we'll bring her on. And there she is right there, looking as lovely as ever. Hi, Mo. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. So tell us about your friendship with Mark.
Well, I met Mark quite a few years ago, shooting, of course, but it was really 3 years ago at the U.S. Open in Maryland that I got to shoot quite a few events with them, and we began to talk. And what some people might not know about Mark was he was an incredible horseman. I mean, he used to do 3-day eventing, and if you don't know what eventing is, it's a tough sport, and you've got to be quite an athlete to do that.
No,
And
no,
the funny story, I know Andy was just on. Andy had just bought a horse, and he rode this horse brand new to the U.S. Open during the shoot just to see how he would react. And I was talking with Mark, and as soon as Andy rode up, Mark kind of looked him up and down, immediately grabbed his feet and dropped his heels and said, "That is how you always sit when you're sitting on a horse." So I just always felt a kinship with him.
Yeah, yeah. And well, I have horses myself, and it was probably the one subject that Mark and I never even touched on that subject. It wasn't until the other day that you mentioned it that I even knew that he was involved with horses. And if he was involved with eventing, which I do know something about, I never participated, but I've seen that. It's a very rigorous discipline. Eventing is tough. There's nothing easy about that.
Nothing easy. And he really quite accomplished in dressage, and I believe he did some judging. I mean, he just was a multifaceted person.
All right, he certainly was, because you have horses, I have horses, and both of us know if you take up something like eventing or even dressage, for that matter,
Yes.
this is not something you just go do every couple of months. This is a daily discipline that you need to establish for yourself. So Mark had so many things that he did well, and you have to wonder how he found the time to be so good, or he had a lot of natural talent. And I'm going to go with the natural talent part. I didn't know he had a golf club, for instance, until Andy just mentioned it. So again, we're talking about someone who I think he probably, and I'm going to take a guess at this, the subject that he and I spoke mostly on was the media, and that's how we related, and we always seem to discuss the media. And it sounds to me as though he probably discussed horses with you. He probably discussed shooting maybe with Andy over the years, and maybe even touched on some other subjects. After 20 years, you're probably going to hit a lot of them. But my general feeling is that Mark Kiddie related to you based upon what you had in common with him, and that's what you would probably, and that's why you always thought he was your best friend. Little did you know that he had thousands of best friends, but you always felt like you were his best friend. And I've seen you, Mo, because I've seen you go up to him, throw your arms around him, and give him a kiss.
Yeah, I just did that at the U.S. Open. I'm going to miss seeing him very much so. He was definitely an extraordinary person. And, in the shooting world, we think of each other as family. But in Mark's case, he had no family, so we truly were his family. And I just think that I was very lucky to get a chance to know him. And it's going to be very sad. I think that we should keep supporting him. I did talk to Gary at Elk Creek, and asked him what he was going to do if he would, keep his name involved in the All-American shoot, which was a huge passion for the Boomer Esiason Foundation. And they said yes, that they would, so they could keep his memory and his name out there. And in fact, in honor of him, I'm not going to be able to make it to the memorial, but I plan on donating money to that foundation in his name. And I really encourage everyone whether it be $1, whatever, just to do that in his name, so he knows that all his work, was appreciated, and we can continue on with what he started.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, Mo. As a matter of fact, a few years ago when I was in the radio business, I interviewed him once, and I asked him how much money he had raised for the Boomer Esiason Foundation, and it was in the millions.
Yes.
Now, this man was very dedicated. He knew the right people to go to. He knew how to put on a fundraiser, and he was very professional in everything he did. And that's the reason why that foundation was so successful. And I think you're absolutely right. In order to continue his memory with that foundation, I think anyone listening needs to, and you can Google this because I did it this morning, the Boomer Esiason Foundation, and you can make your donation through that right there. So I think that's a good idea, and it would be nice if we went to the U.S. Open each year and there was somehow Mark's name is on a particular shoot, or I don't want to see it go away.
It will be the All-American, because that truly was the shoot dedicated to that foundation.
Right. Okay. Well.
So it's the All-American shoot, which is in Kentucky at
Right.
Elk Creek.
Right. Right.
So I'm pretty sure that they're going to do that. They're just figuring out how they're going to do that. And Gary was also very, very close to Mark. I mean, they talked 5 out of 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he told me he is just waiting for his phone to ring because he's just so used to talking to him. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of shocking for everyone, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's make a point. Next year at the U.S. Open, maybe some of us who felt as strongly about Mark as we do, we should all meet up at the winery, and what do you think? Yeah. Let's do that. Mo, we better go.
Okay. Thank you so much, James.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, Mo. We'll see you again.
All right. You take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Now, the show has been interesting today. I certainly want to dedicate this show to Mark Kiddie, and again, our condolences. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.